You ready to eat some fucking tacos, bro? You ready to eat some fucking tacos, bro? Taco Tuesday! Taco Tuesday! Taco Tuesday! Taco Tuesday! Hey! What's going on, folks? You know what day it is. It is
Taco Tuesday.
I'm KC.
And I'm E.
And we are
Nacho Average Podcast.
What up, what up, what up, what up? We are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another lovely Tuesday here in the beautiful United States of the Americas.
Of the Americas.
Thank you for joining us. I got we're a little late today.
We are. Sorry.
Extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Be extra, but it'll be here. It'll be up. It's not even up today, so we'll have it up next week.
Yeah.
Trying to be fancy for y'all, but you know how that goes. How you been, E?
I'm good. I had a good week. You know, a lot has happened. Some personal, things happened. We thought we were going to be able to open up our hookah lounge on August 1st.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we were aiming to do it August 1st because the governor had, let places, serve with liquor and everything open. And we scheduled a live to announce that we were going to do our grand opening. So we scheduled a live on Sunday. And Sunday is when he announced that he's shutting everything back down.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we was really excited to announce that we was going to, do our we was going to abide by all the social distancing rules and everything. Of course, we was going to go half capacity, have the table spread out.
Right.
But we was going to be able to actually open up Spark It Up Hookah Lounge. But unfortunately, with the spike and everything with COVID-19, he's reclosed bars and alcohol. So we're still doing our delivery service, which is where we are, but that wasn't the goal. So that happened. That happened over the weekend.
But at least you guys are still, making it happen with all the deliveries.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just ready to get in the lounge and have the whole lounge vibe. But we just gotta be patient. It's just that we can do, if they say the numbers are spiking up, then we have to, wait.
Yeah.
It's really nothing we can do. So, that was a little disappointing. It sounded like he was gonna end up doing it. We just wasn't sure. And he made it official Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did it. So that wasn't the best, encouraging news. But besides that, the week was good. The week was good. How was your week?
My weekend. Oh, work. I was just working all week.
Okay, you had to think about it.
Yeah, it was because,
I
don't know.
I do.
It's like there's so much going on right now. There's so much going on.
It's so much going on, you guys. But I want to dive into a little quick chips and dip that just popped off.
Let's take a dip.
It just popped off. You guys know our chips and dip is more of our entertainment section. For Casey and I dive into like what's really going on with the culture and what's happening, especially right now with everything going on in the world. But as I was driving, I was at a red light. Boom! I'm on my phone at the red light, and I see August Alsina just did an interview with Angela Yee. Angela Yee has her own podcast along with her show that she has with See the God Lip Service.
Service. Yeah.
So she's interviewing him, and she definitely, for people who don't know, it's always been a rumor that August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith, dealt with one another. But no one's ever confirmed it.
Right.
But he would be with the family like all the time. A few years ago, and this just dropped. So KC don't have a snippet of it or nothing because it just dropped. I just discovered this information. So Angela Yee asked him, what was going on with that? People always speculated, but nothing ever really happened. And August came out and said he had a conversation with Will. And, ever since their marriage transitioned to life partners. And for people who follow Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, that is something they say. They're very open about their life partners. They don't really say marriage anymore. Now, they've never said they're divorced or anything like that, but they do pride themselves on being life partners and just being there for one another, understanding one another, but they really don't say marriage. That is their new thing. They have said this numerous times on the Red Table Talk. So he said in this interview, he said, well, when Jada and Will was transitioning, from their marriage to their life partners, Will gave me his blessing. And, when he said that, you'd like, blessing of what? What did Will bless? So then I had to look for it, and do the whole Instagram TV because, it only gives you 60 seconds. So Angela Yee, some Shade Room posted about like four and a half, maybe 5 minutes and 15 seconds of this comment. And he just basically says, he never loved anybody like he loved her. And it was, things had got to a point where it was affecting his health and things just wasn't good anymore. And he, it just had to end. But when you listen to it, because like I said, it just happened. So I couldn't get I didn't listen to it as clear as I wish I would have. But me listening to it as someone who's older than August was madly in love with this woman. And when things just wasn't seeming like they was going right, because I feel like from what he's saying, it was cool for them to do what they did, long as it didn't interrupt the Will and Jada life. And it sounds like August fell in love. And when people fall in love, whatever that Will and Jada life was, you are affected now. For those who, for people who've never truly been in love is something, baby. It is something. And when you hear him speak, and he's just like, to the depth of my soul, like he was like, I was brokenhearted, when things went south. And if you remember, he was having a lot of health issues for a while. And come to find out, when you listen to it, August had a broken heart. Jada broke his heart.
That might be what his whole new album is about. His album just dropped this past weekend.
Exactly. And if you remember correctly, he had dropped a single. I can't remember the name of it, but Angela Yee does mention it on that interview.
Lord.
And in that single, he mentioned Jada. But he called her by her middle name. But you can Google her middle name and discover what her middle name is. So everybody was like, oh, he's talking about Jada Smith. He's talking about Jada Smith. So now he's dropped the whole album. And he's just saying how, that was just a really rough time in his life, when all that went down. He had never loved anybody like that. He had never felt nothing like that. And he says in this interview with Angela Yee, if I was to die now, I'm okay, because I've experienced the love that so many other people have never experienced it. And I have, I've experienced that type of love.
Jada, I would be ready. I could die too. Thanks now, Lord. I'm good to go.
So, like I said, it just came out today. So a lot of people probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But I thought it was just really interesting. And I just wanted to have a little quick conversation about it in our chips and dip section, because I think sometimes people don't. If you've never experienced love like that, then you do think it's crazy, or it's like, I'm confused. Why was he sick? But it's an emotion, and emotions can, get tied up with your physical aspect of life, and you can get sick. When you're sad, or or you're angry, like any of those things can come off in your physical aspect of life, and you don't want to eat, you don't sleep, all that, it's all linked together. And from the sounds of it, baby, August was in love. Wow. And when this ended, he couldn't let it go. And I just find it really odd. Like I said, we'll never actually get to the bottom of it. I'm very interested to see if on the Red Table Talk she attacks this, because I think she's been transparent pretty much on a lot of things in her life. Why not this too? Yeah. She's been very transparent.
Because this is where we first really got a whiff of them, was on the Red Table Talk when he was on there with her mom, and
and that's also when they rolled out that they're life partners. Like that is what they call themselves. They don't say husband and wife. They're life partners. They're just two people who really understand each other, get each other, respect each other, and want each other to be happy, even if that means not with one another.
Right.
but they've never truly said they're not intimate anymore.
Right.
But August said when they was doing the transition of being life partners, then of course the intimacy came out of their marriage. So I'm like, oh well, maybe that's when August came into their marriage.
Well, remember you talked about on Red Table Talk before about how she helped him like with his drug addiction, you know,
right.
Yeah. Did you talk about that already? I'm sorry, I was trying to get people.
No, I haven't. But you're right. That did come up, you know, because they did speak about that, and that's kind of how him and her was selling it.
Save that savior mentality too, you know. So
that's how they were selling it at first, but it sounds like he is beaten to a different drum right now. and let it be known, you know, Jada, he was in love. Jada broke his heart. He was in love, and like I said, a lot of people don't understand a love like that, but I do, you know, personally. So, and people don't understand. It goes, you know, even though it's an emotion, it can go straight into your physical aspect of life.
Right.
And that's where he was, you know. And I think that's a pretty bold statement for somebody his age to say, you know, I can make peace if I was to die right now because I had a love, you know, out of this world. I mean, that's a very bold statement for a very young man.
I mean, not when you talk about Jada. That's not when you talk about Jada.
Real shit. So, like I said, I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Like, if she's going to bring it up on the Red Table Talk, if it's something they're going to discuss, because she's very transparent. Like, she tends to be very open on her show, you know, because she uses her show as a healing platform for her, along with her guests.
Willow's not on that show. Willow be doing too much. She be doing too much.
You think so?
Like, you can tell. Because, like, every time she's like, oh, oh, yeah. Like, this is over exaggerates every single thing and every single emotion.
That's her thing, though. That's her thing.
Like, you don't know what they talking about. Like,
I like when she go, oh. She do. But I genuinely think that's her because she does it every single show.
Yeah, I think she's overcompensating for not understanding what they're talking about. You know, I mean, she's still a kid. We're talking about grown.
She's still very young.
Yeah,
like she may be mature for her age, but it's only so much mature for her age she can actually be. Some things you just have to experience through life lessons,
right?
And then, you know, her grandmother and her mother had a completely different life than she had. You know, Willow had a very privileged life, compared to what her grandmother had, who was a drug addict, and what her mother experienced. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I would like to see them discuss this on the Red Table Talk. When they hung out with August Alsina, they have pictures with Willow, Jaden, Trey, and all of them together. So my thing is, your kids look big enough to actually understand what was going on. So I'm interested to see how it works out.
They are adults.
They are. And when she was dealing with August, Jaden was an adult. I think Willow was still a little young, but Jaden was grown. So it's gonna be interesting. But look at the little interview, the little snippet.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
I said Jada whipped it on him. Yes, she did.
Whip that ass back and forth.
Baby was in love, honey. He was in love. Like, when you see that video, you're gonna be like, oh, he was in love.
I get it.
I do too.
I understand.
And a lot of people in the comments didn't understand, and I just take it as, oh, you've never had a love like that.
Also in the comments, you always gotta have something to say. You know, you always have to say everything in social media comments. So I don't really pay too much attention to those because, you know, it's always the same people. Oh, that I was about to say the same thing. No, you weren't. You don't even think on this level. So come on now. I hate that. They do be saying that shit. Crazy line. They're like, I was thinking the same thing. No, you were not.
No, you were not.
If you thought the same way they thought, then you would be a comedian right now. Like, get out of here.
So I thought it was really interesting. So I wanted to, you know, tackle that real quick in our chips and dip because I thought it was interesting, and it just happened. And what did our number one fan say? Willow has traveled more than most people. She does have some life experiences.
She's traveled.
She's traveled.
Yeah, as far as living life.
She hasn't been alive long enough.
Yeah.
You know,
there's only so much that someone her age couldn't experience. You know, I know, Yeah, I mean, I've been out here. I was her age when I was out here, and you experience some crazy stuff out here. But still, my mentality was way different than what it is now.
Exactly. Exactly. You got to grow up.
Yeah.
You got to grow up. You could put yourself in the same situation you were in when you were 22, 23. You'll react completely different now.
Yep.
Because you grew up. You're just like, oh, I'm not going to get that upset about that or things like that. I do think she's mature. I think she's a very mature young lady, but I do agree with you. I don't know exactly how. I don't know if she could sit at that table and listen to her mama was sleeping with this boy.
Right.
That's pretty goddamn mature right there.
I mean, it depends on the relationship that her and August had too. Like if it was like stepdaddy type,
exactly. Like we don't know. We don't know. That's true. We don't know.
We'll let this unfold and figure it out.
Yeah, we just gotta watch because I definitely expect her to respond. I would say that. I expect, like I said, she tends to be very transparent when it comes to her personal life. So we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. We shall see.
We shall see.
What else has happened in our chips and dip in the entertainment world lately?
It's official that Kim Kardashian is a billionaire.
Oh yeah.
Very official. Off of her beauty line.
Yeah, she sold a big portion of her shares of
to
her
Cody, Cody product. Yeah.
They're the same. They're the same company that Kylie sold a bunch of her business to last year.
Okay. I remember that.
They do a lot of things with the same people. They the party planners.
Well, once you get clicked in the family, why not stay? If you're doing. If you're doing good networking, why not stay? That's a good relationship to have.
Definitely.
So it was smart on their part. But it's very official. Without her husband's money, Kim Kardashian West herself is an official.
So now she's the second billionaire in the family. Billionaire already.
Kylie was first, right?
Yeah. So congratulations.
Big ups to her. Big ups to her. I said August needs to be the next guest on the Red Table Talk. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be time on there. So
I think it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it'll be very interesting.
So yes, 2 billionaires in the family, and it's been a year so far. So looking at I think it's time for a raise.
I love it. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What do we call the two people with the guns? Ken and Karen. Y'all, they still acting up. They are still acting up.
But this shit was crazy. This was really crazy. So was it a week? When was it? It just happened.
It was this past week.
Yeah, within this past week in Kentucky. Is it the mayor?
Yeah.
So
Mayor Lida Crewson went on. She had a conference and she was naming off people by name and their address. People who were calling for defunding of the police. And so in this
people who signed the petition. Yeah. Because when you sign a petition, you put your name and your address, but that's not supposed to be revealed to the public.
And so she named these people and their addresses.
Right.
On camera. And it was nothing. And so of course people took to the streets. And let me give you the original video.
Exactly.
If I could find it here.
You have it.
Moment.
So people took to the streets to go to the mayor's house. And this is what happened while they were walking.
Oh, I had the sound down. My bad.
Papers to me about how they wanted the budget to be spent. Here's one that wants $50 million to go to cure violence, $75 million to go to affordable housing, $60 million to go to health and human services, and have zero go to the police. So that's on who is living. No police, no money going to police. This is
the bleeps are their names and their addresses.
I may be saying that wrong. Same addresses. $75 million to cure violence, $210 million to affordable housing, $100 million to health and human services, zero to police. Well, here's somebody. I think it is, wants all the money to go to Cure Violence, Affordable Housing, Human Services.
Like, how crazy is that she sat up there and just said their name and address, and they bleeped it out over the TV, but the people who sitting in that room heard it.
Exactly. No, I don't even know if they bleeped it out over the TV. I think that's just once it was posted later on.
I've never heard of nothing like that. Like, how do you just repeat these people's name and address? I've never heard of nothing like that. And you can't sit up there and say you didn't do that without some underlining agenda.
Right.
Like, that was you knew exactly what you were doing. You definitely had an underlining agenda.
Definitely.
So with her doing this, people took to the streets because they were angry. You know, because when you sign a petition, petitions go everywhere.
So just like Brianna said, they pulled up. They pulled up. Yeah. And this is, I have so many tabs open, y'all. My bad. I need to get all this taken care of.
The life of our engineer.
I love this song. John Legend's album is fire, by the way. Just to let you know.
Why he's looking for the tab of Ken and Karen. Oh, you got it.
So this is the gate that the guy said they broke in half and tore down. And you see it's in perfectly fine condition. And the officer was right there.
Now, this is the mayor's house?
No, this is on the way to the mayor's house.
Okay, Kenny. So they're in a gated community.
They're in a gated community, but they're on an entire different street.
Okay, so they're in a gated community. That's why these people. Okay.
He does have a weapon, as y'all can see.
Oh, this is the wrong video. I mean, it's still him, but it's the wrong. See, he has his gun right here.
Yeah. But wait till you see how Karen came out.
You can't see her in this video. I gotta load it up. It's not on the computer. Yeah.
So we'll just tell them. Okay, so Karen came out with a handgun. I don't know if she had a 9 or 3. Like, it was a handgun. Because he has a rifle.
She was holding like this and looking.
Yeah. So she's holding this gun, you guys. Her fingers on the trigger. Like, I don't know if the safety was on or off, but her fingers on the trigger. And she's I don't know if she's ever shot a gun, but I can guarantee you the way she was holding the gun, the back shot of the gun would have took her back. Nothing about her would have been ready to fire that gun. The way she was holding it like makeup. So she's sitting here holding this gun, finger on the trigger, hand like this, like she's upset, and she's pointing this gun at random people.
Right.
You know, as they're walking to go to the mayor's house. Like Casey said, these people were not going to bother them. These people, they knew the protesters was coming. I'm sure the news was following them. So they knew the protesters was coming. But these people were going to the mayor's house because they was upset that the mayor had said these people's name and address who signed the petition to defund the police. So technically they have a right to protest that. So they walk in this gated community, and I don't know the couple's actual name, so I keep calling them Ken and Karen. I don't know their names. Their names is not Ken and Karen, though. I will tell you that. That's not their names. So he comes out with a rifle, and she comes out with a handgun.
They're the McCloskeys.
Okay, the McCloskeys.
Mark McCloskey. And we'll just call her Karen McCloskey.
We'll call her. So people are walking past their house, and the video Casey just showed you, they're on the front porch, but eventually they come off the porch and they walk around, and they're on their grass. Like, they're standing on their grass, and people are walking past them. Mind you, this woman, I kid you not, this woman is holding this gun with her finger on the trigger.
Right now.
Like, her fingers on the trigger. If she had stepped on a thing that waters the grass in the yard, it's very possible she could have shot someone.
Right.
And then if you listen to people who understand the type of rifle the man was holding, a lot of people said if he had shot that gun, he would have hurt himself because he wasn't even holding it properly. So these are people who own guns, most likely legally, and they don't know how to shoot the gun, how to hold the gun, or anything. And they would have ended up hurting themselves also. They would have hurt other people, but they most definitely would have hurt themselves too.
And I wouldn't mind that at all.
No, but it was just ignorant because protests are legal.
Mm-hmm.
People can protest, and what the mayor did was wrong.
Yeah. So what his whole thing was, he said it's everything past that gate was private property. He said there's no public roads, there's no public sidewalks, there's no public anything in that community. Everything's private. And so the way he explained it in his interview was, he said it was a mob. They felt threatened and they were advancing towards towards their home, threatening his family, threatening his home, and threatening his pets. So
his pets.
Yeah, but in the video,
they're walking past his house.
Yeah, they're actually, even like when people are like yelling at them about having the guns out, there are people pulling those people, along, so having them just keep walking.
Because you could tell these people was trigger ready.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They was trigger ready. Like if you had put your foot on the grass, that when I tell you guys the way she holding this gun, they was trigger ready for something. Definitely. So I saw the part of the video when other people was pulling the protesters, like you said, and they was like, come on, like leave them alone, because you could tell they was just angry and was ready to do something they didn't have no business doing.
Right.
Kens and Karens out here, y'all.
Man, full force.
So the police now have a list of people. Is that true? They have a list of people who they will not protect?
So D. Webster says, so the police now have a list of people who they will not protect if called. I don't know. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I do know the police are doing the blue flu thing in Atlanta. I don't know if it's spread it to other cities yet, where they're calling in sick, not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they have a list of people they won't protect. But I do think what the mayor did in Kentucky is uncalled for. And I do think, that needs to happen. And while we're talking about politicians, I'm going to just come in and come out real quick.
Do you think?
We can go back to Ken and Karen. But y'all want to know how hood the United States is? Y'all want to know how ghetto the United States of America is?
It?
Our president has a warrant. What in the hell? How do you live in a country where the sitting president has a warrant?
Yeah, I can't find the video. It's okay.
Yeah, the craziest shit. Donald Trump has a warrant out.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the people on the list were people that that sent in requests for where they want the money to be allocated to.
Because they want to defund the police.
And that's the list that she was reading off for people who had sent in submissions for where the money should be going besides the police. That's what that was. Yeah, that's who they were.
Well, that's the names and addresses she was reading.
Yeah.
She was, because these are people who suggested where the funds should go instead of to the police department. But at the end of the day, she shouldn't have been able to say these people's addresses and names. When you sign a petition, everybody has signed petitions online. You do have to put your name and your address in certain things, but that shouldn't go out publicly.
Right.
And this is exactly what the mayor did. And like I said, when we first led with the story, this was very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
She knew exactly what she was doing. I'm not going to believe she didn't know what she was doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was very intentional.
Ashley Anderson and Tiffany Beasley says he has a warrant and 3 baby mamas.
That's just how ghetto we are right now, you guys. Our sitting president has a warrant in another place.
And was that
it's ridiculous?
Is that Iran?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, but not too long ago, the president authorized an airstrike, which killed one of their top leaders in their military.
In the military, yes.
Yeah.
Like a general or something. Somebody way up there.
Yeah, and over here, he was saying, even the people over there are happy that he's gone and he was a tyrant and all this. But meanwhile, millions of people are on the streets over there mourning this man, having memorials and processions and stuff for this man. But
who he says was this awful person.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And he said that they were targeting, American soldiers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why he did it. But comes out later on that comes out later on that he actually knew that some of the soldiers had bounties on them before and did nothing. And he waited and waited and waited, and then did this airstrike. He kept the soldiers over there. He didn't say, "Oh, let's just let's you guys
pull out." Yeah,
place that we don't belong in anyway.
Exactly.
You know, he said he let them over there and then did the airstrike. And I mean, everyone says, is it NATO? Whoever's in charge, they said that it's really a political stunt by the leaders over there. They can't
give them the warrant, right?
Yeah, because they said they won't authorize it. So I mean, if they won't authorize it, then I mean, it's just null and void.
Exactly.
But it was for once he steps down from presidency, he'd be arrested. But I mean, it won't happen because it doesn't have the proper backing for it to happen.
Right, and he's here. He would have to go there. Yeah, he's here. But I just want y'all to know how ghetto that really sounds.
Yeah. Welcome to America,
man.
Welcome to America.
Man, craziest shit ever. I was just, giving us something to talk about while Casey was looking for the video about Ken and Karen. Yeah. But that's just some crazy shit.
Yeah. So he said that he felt threatened, and his family felt threatened, and he was standing his ground. And it's just like the audacity to point these guns at a bunch of unarmed people.
Yes,
who were
they were
marching down the street, just marching. That is a warrant, and that's not threatening to you. They're walking past your house, not even towards it. You're not even at the cul-de-sac. They're walking past your house,
and they had a lot of lawn. So they're not as close to their house as you think. They were far away because the house sits up, and then they had a lawn that like landscapes down, and then it was a street. So they weren't walking on their grass or anything.
Right.
So these people were completely and totally out of line. So Kens and Karens, y'all, we got to be careful out here with these Kens and Karens, because
got to be careful.
They out here just being reckless and getting away with it, and that's the problem. And that leads us into our hard shell, where my co-host wanted to holler at the world about how our culture is taking over the mainstream.
Yes, but sorry, I can't get over it. I just gotta show y'all this.
Okay. You found it?
I can't get over it. I mean, I found a picture, so this will have to do.
This Ken and Karen.
Yeah.
Yes, that is them. Look how she holding that gun, you guys.
Yeah. And look at him. And look, first of all,
ready though.
You see, she's aiming it, not even looking at where she's aiming it.
She's not even. No, she's not.
So that's crazy right there. This guy,
it was ridiculous.
He would have died if he shot that gun.
They say he's holding it
under his arm, first of all. Yeah. Like he's not bracing it at all. This is craziness.
Yeah, they say he would have I was reading, they said he would have blew his own hand off.
That's
like
just that's
they
LDE.
said the way he's holding it is so incorrect.
That's complete LDE. You know what that is?
Tell me.
Little dick energy. That's all that is. That is all that is. Craziness.
Yeah. And she was just swinging that gun, pointing it.
Right.
Like, I'm just glad she never put that trigger, because it would have been worse. It would have been awful.
It would have been all bad.
It would have, most definitely. So we're gonna dive in.
I had a conversation recently with a couple people who actually happen to be dancers and artists, and they're not of color.
Okay.
They're of Caucasus descent, and they have. We're talking about how it's interesting that a lot of people. I was saying how it's crazy how a lot of people are just finding out about how Black people have been treated over the past, hundreds of years. And and how it's interesting because, like, to me, it's crazy because it's ingrained in everything that we've seen, everything we've heard. It's ingrained in our culture. It is our culture. And not thinking that other people outside of our culture who actually
don't get
are patrons of our culture, I guess, who listen to our music, watch our movies and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, they see it, but they don't see it the way that we see it. You know,
Right.
to us, we hear a song, and it could be completely about police brutality, but to someone else that is not from this world,
They don't
they
hear that.
hear it as a
Mm-hmm.
hit. It's a bop.
Right.
You know, they might know all the words to it, but they don't understand
They're
what
not comprehending it. Yeah.
exactly. So it was just interesting to me, and it made me think about how much our culture, whether it be art, whether it be music, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
movies, has contributed to this culture that we call America.
Right.
You know, even down to folk music. You know, folk music was
Mm-hmm.
black, country music was black.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we all these music styles
Mm-hmm.
are they are representative of what we were going through. Everything
Yes.
we're going through. If you hear African music, oh, it sounds so good, sounds so joyous. You know, everyone's having to come on, and it's like, okay, they were happy over there, and then get locked up. Come over here, swing low, area, and then even after that, the blues.
Well, that's what I was thinking of. The blues.
The blues are talking about our life. That's what kills me when it's just not, it doesn't kill me. It's just interesting when I go places and you see white people singing the blues, and it's just like, this is not your story. It doesn't even feel right because the blues is about what it is exactly a representation from the words to the sound to the tone to everything is how life was back then. There was nothing joyous about it. There was nothing happy. It was all just sad and trying
Hence, it's called the blues. I mean, that's the name of the genre of music. It's called the blues.
It's called blues. And then people start to migrate up north, and jazz was created because there was a little bit of bright hopes, people,
right? And it was a little, and it became celebratory. And jazz is more of a celebratory sound than the blues, and then
make a little more money,
exactly. And then as time progressed, you got R&B, which is rhythm and blues.
Well, even and rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? That was originally completely black.
Chuck
Berry,
you
you got not Mauve Mabley. What's her name that sang Hound Dog? I know she's a comedian. What's the one that sang Hound Dog? That Elvis Presley got Hound Dog from? Anyway, it was a black woman that sang Hound Dog, and Elvis Presley heard that, took it,
and
made
took it
a hit track.
But he stole all of our songs. He stole our songs. He stole our style.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great artist. He was a great mimic. He knew how to copy. He knew how to mimic and copy us very, very well. And he became he became successful off of that. But he wasn't a creative himself.
Yeah.
He didn't have that.
And it was just amazing to see this white man moving like black people, singing like black people. And it's like, we can do that too. Great. And made a ton of money off of it.
It's so funny.
Little Richard.
When you said that. Exactly. And that Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said that, the Hound Dog song, this just came in my head, so I don't actually have
Big Mama Thornton. There we go.
King always come through. He always come through. I know he come through. The one thing that made me think about, and King, I may need you to do this one too, because I don't have it right here with me. But for people who don't know Betty Boop, I'm a Betty Boop fan.
Oh yeah,
the character. Betty Boop's character is based off of an African American woman.
Yeah,
she was a nightclub singer. And she was sexy, and she had this whispery voice, and she had the dark curly hair, and people saw that. They went to go see her, and they saw how the crowd.
Esther Jones.
The actual woman's name.
Yeah, Esther Jones.
But Betty Boop is based off of an African American woman, and she was a huge icon in the 50s, 40s, 50s. And people still get her, tatted on them and stuff as 20s. Okay.
20.
Roaring 20s. So then she was huge. And then, people still, she was in that pinup days, when they had pinup girls and everything like that. But it just goes to show you how they take our style. Because if you're a young person now and you see Betty Boop, you'll just associate her with that animated cartoon.
Yeah.
But Betty Boop was made and drawn and written about one of us.
Yeah.
Like she came off.
Even the style, even the singing style with the little
singing and everything.
Yeah.
Her whole look. The only thing they made different was her skin. They made Betty Boop right.
She was fair. She was fairer of skin, but she wasn't that light.
Yeah, but she had the short dark hair. She was very voluptuous in her shape. She talked very breathy, and whispery, just like the Betty Boop character. So when you said that, it just made me think of that because I'm a huge
was hers.
Huh?
The boo boop ba doop, that was hers too.
Right, that was hers. And that's Betty Boop's little catchphrase on her animation. But it's just little stuff like that where people don't understand. To piggyback on what you just said about the mainstream hitting the culture, yesterday at work, I work a skeleton crew at the tax firm that I work at. Yeah, it's just a skeleton crew. So mostly in my department, it's about 15 of us. But since it's a skeleton crew, we all take different days. So yesterday it was just me and two other young guys there. And they can't be but maybe 31. Like they're very young guys, they're the tax accountants. And then it's me. And neither one of these gentlemen are black. Both of these kids are white. But that's fine. I get along with them. I don't have no problems with them. I walk in, I say good morning. We talk about politics. We talk about COVID-19. And one of them, I guess he was feeling comfortable, as we were talking yesterday. And he goes, "Hey, Eva, have you ever heard of?" And he said her name incorrectly. He said, Catherine Owens, and I said Candace Owens, and he said, yeah. He was like, I'm starting to follow her. And I was like, oh, what made you, start to follow her? Because we talk a lot about politics, so I kind of know where his viewpoint is, and it doesn't align with her. And he said, I just don't know a lot about black people. He was like, that's the wrong person to learn from. And he said, he said the other day when you wore your Juneteenth shirt, he said, I kept looking at it. He said, eventually I ended up emailing you. So what's up with your shirt? He did. And I was like, oh, Justin, come here. I'll tell you about my shirt. I didn't have any issues, but it's like what you said. He doesn't know. Like he doesn't get it, and like I said, he's, very smart kid, really smart with numbers. But he was like, it's crazy to me something like that happened. Then we went into talking about Tulsa, and I told him about that. And he was like, I've never heard any of this. I was like, most people haven't. I was like, they don't teach it. And he was like, how do you just get rid of a whole history lesson? I said, oh, they did it. They did it. They damn sure did it.
Like even in Tulsa, they just added that massacre to the curriculum for this upcoming year.
Yeah, just now. We both said it at the same time, but that's the crazy part. So then when he tells me about Candace, I said, well, be mindful, where you're getting your information from. I said, believe it or not, I saw Candace Owens on the Revolt Summit with Big Mike and T.I. Yeah. If you look at that Revolt Summit, Candace did have a lot of actual facts, valid points that she was saying. I've never actually liked anything she said, but when I saw her on that Revolt thing, I was like, okay, I see her point, but then it still makes me question because of the person she follows and the way that she votes and the way that she thinks. So I told him, just be mindful of who you're getting your information from. And I said, you should follow some other people too, maybe some more liberal, outspoken people who are on our side.
You should suggest he follows Amanda.
Well, I suggested Angela. I did suggest Angela. I didn't suggest Amanda, but I just thought it was interesting, because it's just like what you were saying earlier. It isn't so much. I don't want to just knock everybody. They just don't know. And then when they first hear about it, you don't even understand when he was so confused about Juneteenth. He was like, I just don't get it. He was like, when did this become a thing? What is June 19th? Like, so I'm explaining to him Galveston, Texas, and he was like, oh, he's like, I had no idea. And I was like, you're not alone in your generation.
Right.
Or even in your culture. Some people in our culture are still learning about June 19th. They don't know. Like this was like we talked about last week. I think this was the most I had ever seen it on any social media platform this year. But like you said, it's nice that our culture is becoming more mainstream. And I like to hear that the younger generation, especially non-Black people, want to know about it. They want to get educated about it. They want to learn about it. They want to understand, like, these people are so upset. You know, why are they upset? Then when they hear something like, oh, you're erasing their history, it's like, well, hell, I get why they're mad too.
Right.
You know, and I just don't think a lot of people really understand that. And that's, you know, that's where I want to go with it. And then, you know, if
you have to take on this teaching role so often, so many times a day.
It's tiring though. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
You get fatigued. Like, I mean, I'm a teacher by nature, so I enjoy it. But then it's like, man, one after another. It's, at least like when you're a teacher, people know you just had 3 classes before theirs, you know?
Right.
But like, they don't know you just had the exact same conversation with someone, you know, 20 minutes ago, you know?
It's and I don't mind it, but it is a little exhausting.
Yeah. So people, if you are one of the people receiving the information, keep in mind that the people that are giving you the information, teaching you these classes, are tired. They might have gone through this over and over again, and it's not just them teaching you a lesson; it's them bringing having to rehash things that may have happened in their past, may have happened to them that they have traumatized them. You know, so keep in mind that they are teaching you about a history that's rooted in the oppression of them, their family, and everyone that came before them.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind. So when emotions get, I know with me, you know, when I get passionate about something, I get loud, but not even like aggressive loud. You know, it's just loud. And so me being loud, 6'3" and Black, it's like
intimidating.
Yeah, it's intimidating. Like there's been plenty. That's nothing people don't understand. Is like this whole it's completely off subject, but this whole two different worlds, tale of two cities. You know, it's like there's things that we can't do that other people can, you know, like especially in the workplace. I've had about something, and even if I'm like defending myself, you know, and it's like, whoa, calm down. I'm calm, but I'm not gonna sit here and have you say I'm doing something that I'm not, and you know, and it's like, oh well, I'm going to like naturally. I have a boisterous voice. I'm from the theater, so you know, so it's just natural. But so with that and my color and my height, my stature, like it's automatically, you know, intimidating.
Yeah,
imagine
it is
an officer that pulls you over or that pulls you to the side for no reason. You're trying to figure out why are you pulling me over or why are you stopping me, and that automatically becomes intimidation.
Yeah. And it's just true, like you said, it's exhausting because in the professional world, in the corporate world, you know, the 9-to-5 world, especially for me, I'm in a world where it's only 3 people who look like me, and I'm one of the 3, so it's just 2 other people. Mind you, is no male. There's no Black man in my firm. No Black man in my firm. The other 2 Black females in my firm are executive assistants, and then it's me. I'm an account manager. That's it. We're the culture. We're all they got.
Right.
And sometimes that can be really draining, you know, because you have to deal with so much. And like you said, people asking questions, people, you know, they're intrigued, they're inquisitive, they want to know what's going on. But like you said, I'm not a teacher. I don't want to talk about this all day because it does, it frustrates you and it angers you and it depletes you. You know, and it's like it's 2:30. I still got, you know, 3 more hours of work to go. I can't be depleted right now, you guys. I can't keep answering all your questions. Like I said, it's wonderful that they are intrigued. I think that's a beautiful thing. But I need them just to go open up a book.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, there's a point where, like, we can give you the cliff notes, but at a point you got to go. Is that dating myself? Because I think they're spark notes.
Understood it. I understood it.
I think they're called. I got it. Now. But at some point, you gotta take these cliff notes and just go and Google and you know, we all have this thing. We all have these phones. You know, so, you know, go on Google and just do a little learning. If you really care about it, if you're not just talking about it, if you're not asking for the sake of conversation or to feel like a part of it, and you really learn about it, take it upon yourself and educate yourself, because we got educated when we didn't even want to.
Yeah, we had to learn about it. It was just something that we needed to learn, and we had to learn about it because the school wasn't going to teach us.
We lived it.
We had to figure it out and learn it. And like you said, a lot of us lived it. So I thought it was just, I liked where you was going with that, because I agree. You know, our culture is definitely jumping into the mainstream real heavy right now, but you still got to take your time and tread lightly, because some people think they're very educated about the culture, not being from the culture. So when they try to explain it, you're like, oh, is that your interpretation? Because it's like, oh, I don't always agree with someone else's interpretation of my culture if they don't look like me, you know, or come from where I come from or grew up where I grew up. So I think it's a beautiful thing that more people want to know about, you know, our history, but at the same time, they have to do their due diligence also and take the initiative to learn about it. Don't expect us to teach you everything.
And Black people, it's okay to say that you don't want to talk about it right now. It's okay.
Yeah,
because you have to, we have to also make sure we're taking care of ourselves spiritually and mentally. And if you're continuously rehashing all of this stuff over and over and over again, all this trauma, and then having to go along with your everyday, you know, like a regular day, and
that's
not affected by that, it's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible. So make sure you like, it's great to teach, great to educate, but make sure you ration that out, spread it out, and take those breaks for yourselves and be like, yo, I just don't feel like talking about it right now.
Yeah, I can't. You know, I want to talk about it.
You know, direct them to where they can learn about it themselves. You know,
exactly.
Look up the school to prison pipeline. There you go. You know, it's like
it'll break it all down for you.
Yeah, and because that affects you physically too, not just mentally. Affects you physically. Averill Campbell says she was having migraines all day, every day. Like, it'll do that. Definitely.
Yeah, it's tiring. It's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. So I completely understand it. You know, and you know, it's so funny because even something like you were saying, as simple as music. You know, a lot of people don't understand most of the music originated from us, if not all music, you know, of all different genres, you know, because we Black people have dabbled in a little bit of everything. You know, country music, when you're young, you think it just belongs to one culture, but we created it. You know, country music has a lot of blues undertone to it.
Yeah.
If you listen to it, you know, particular country music, or what's another thing they call country music? I forget. It's shit. I can't remember. You gotta give me a minute. King, where you at? It's what do they call it? It's something else besides country. That's what they call it. Yeah. They don't always call it country, but if you really listen to it, it's a blues undertone. You know, it's depressing. You know.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of it was like living in America, right?
Yeah.
So we don't sing songs about America because it's not good to us, you know. We sing songs about it. You don't hear us, you know.
We're not Bruce Springsteen in it, born in the USA.
Right. American pop. Like, we don't sing about that. We have one song, "Living in America," and all that was James Brown telling us the cities that we should go to, the cities that are good for us. You know, New Orleans, Dallas, Detroit, Pittsburgh. New Orleans, like that we're good at, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a trip. You know,
he was like, that's all that was. He was just saying all the places that we should go, that we are welcome. You know, Dallas.
Well, we'll have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, look at Will Smith, Miami. You know, welcome to Miami. You'll have a good time here. You know?
He did have a song about Miami.
Georgia was just because Ray Charles, you know, couldn't perform there. So there he was like, okay, I'll write a song for y'all just so I can perform here again. Like,
and it took him it was years he couldn't perform there.
Yeah.
Years, you know, and a lot of people didn't even know that till the movie came out.
Oh, Joe.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
So, like I said, the awareness is great, but just be mindful of, all the information. Like Casey said, you got to take care of your mental health. And then, of course, we want to reiterate that we can't give up because as of today, Breonna Taylor killers are still not arrested.
Still not arrested. Still on the loose.
Still on the loose. And last week we talked about Elijah McClain, and it seems like a lot has happened for his case, if I'm not mistaken. Not everything I like, because I did hear that they put the officers on leave, but they're on a paid leave.
Paid leave. That's a vacation.
Yeah, they're on a paid leave, the officers who, killed Elijah McClain. And then they're gonna, look back into the case. But I'm already a little distraught because you put the officers on a paid leave and they killed this young guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really, I don't feel a big victory out of this just yet, because I don't like the paid leave part. But we just, like always on every show, we got to just want to remind you guys of the culture and what's going on in our communities right now. We can't let up, even though it's easy to let up, but you can't let up. You still got to get out there and you still got to do it.
Yeah. And vote.
Yes.
Vote. We're voting.
Yes.
Right now, guys. So make sure you check your state and see when your state's doing their voting, because it's happening right now. So
you mean for the small, like local voting? Yeah, definitely. And in California, I don't know if a lot of people know, but we vote every 2 years on local government in California. So we should be voting quite often. So if you're only voting in the primary when it's just the president, then you're missing the local votes. And the local votes matter because that's when you're voting for your judges. That's when you vote for your chief of police. That's when you vote for the things that really affects your day-to-day life. So you need to be mindful of that. And like Casey said, you want to vote in every election because that's your voice. When you vote, you're speaking your truth. You're saying what you want. So voting is pivotal.
Mm-hmm. So
what did he say?
Kingor said officers on paid leave weren't the ones that killed him. They were at the protest taking pictures and joking about the chokehold he was put in.
Oh, so those weren't even the officers that did it.
That's why we love y'all.
Yeah, King be helping us out.
Yeah.
So the officers that killed him are still at large.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like Breonna Taylor.
Crazy.
That just is the craziest shit to me because you know who did it.
Mm-hmm.
But for some strange reason, they're not. Nothing is happening to them, and that
we
just can't.
One officer was arrested, right? In the Breonna Taylor case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
But then I thought he got bailed out.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he got arrested. Yeah.
But only one out of all those people who was in this woman's house. Yep. So, we can't let up with what's going on out here and what's going on in our community. Oh, hell no. Hell no. And then I think your sister just said, you got to vote in the local elections, and you guys, we got to vote. That's the only way. Protesting is great. I'm not going to knock protesting. I just said this in the Mingle with Matwires on Sunday. Protesting is wonderful. But to make the protest matter and to actually see change, you got to go from the protest to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go from the protest to the polls. Definitely. I'm going to say it again. You got to go from the protest to the
where?
Polls.
There you go.
The polls. Because that's how the actual change is going to happen. The protest is bringing awareness, which is wonderful. But to really see the change, you got to go to the polls. Like in California, on our ballot this year is a Proposition 209. I would like all of you who are listening, Casey can see the numbers, I can't, but I'll repost this part. I want all of you to really, really dive in Proposition 209 and see what they're trying to do. And if you look at their wording for Proposition 209, it can be very confusing because I spoke to someone at work about that and they were like, well, the propositions are confusing. I said, that's very intentional. That's very intentional for the propositions to be very confusing. So you can't just get your information from that ballot book. Google these propositions. Look into these propositions because these propositions matter. Proposition 209 is to repeal the affirmative action. So we need to really look into these propositions and see what they're doing. Now, their reason for wanting to repeal affirmative action for Proposition 209, if you read it, they're saying a lot about when kids go to college, but they're not talking about all the other aspects that this particular proposition helps us with. So if they pull this proposition, life is going to be very different for the next generation, and for some of us who are still involved in, seeking work. Right. And things like that in the corporate world. So we have to be mindful of our propositions, not just of the candidates that's running, but like Eric Wade just said, you have to exercise your right to vote. And once again, I'm gonna say it, as you guys protest, you got to go to the polls.
From the what?
From the protests to the polls. You got to get out there, you guys, and exercise your right to vote. And that is how our voice is heard when we're at those polls. That is how our voice is heard. I know you guys get sick of me talking about voting. I know it. But if after voting is done and everybody starts screenshotting and DMing me them I vote stickers, then I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
At least do it for the picture.
Man, just go get that sticker for me. I really want you guys, to get out there and vote, and, exercise your right, because that's your voice. And that's the only way you can actually truly be heard. But please do your homework on Proposition 209. I posted it in Taco Tuesday story. I will be posting more about it. It's a couple of other propositions I have a few problems with. So just, let's really dive in and see what they're doing, because so many people are worried about the presidential campaign that they think they can just slide these propositions in and no one's going to pay attention to them. So we need to worry about the presidential campaign, but the propositions, and when you vote at the local government stat, that's what's affecting your day-to-day. That is your day-to-day. And like I said, you're voting in judges, the chief of police, assemblymen, councilmen, and these are the people who speak for you. And, if these are the people who's speaking for you, you want to make sure it's the right person who's saying the story you want told, and, make sure your voice is being heard. So you definitely have to vote in local elections. Yeah, I'm gonna stop fussing at you guys today. I'm done.
Well, that was good. We know we need it. We need to be reminded.
Yeah. Yes.
Are we ready for the bill?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm ready too.
It's on me, huh?
Always.
It's always on me.
I just like to slide that bill over to your side.
One day, you guys, he gonna say you ready for the bill, and I'm gonna just slide it. And I'm gonna just let him handle that whole bill. So,
I just don't remember it, man.
For the people who joined in a little late, our chips and dips started off with August Alsina and Jada Pinkett Smith. Once again, he did an interview shortly this evening on it was released on social media. He did an interview on Lipstick Service with Angela Yee, and he spoke about his relationship with Jada. He said Will gave it's his blessing, which is, that's a lot right there to say that. But it has been said that Will and Jada are life partners. They don't consider themselves husband and wife anymore. So I don't exactly know what all went down with August and Jada. But if you look at this little 6-minute snippet that they have on social media, what I can tell you is August was madly in love with this woman. He loved him some Jada, and KC totally said he can understand.
I get it, August.
And then we went and told you guys about Ken and Karen, the couple in Kentucky who, when the protest was happening by their house, they came out with actual guns, cocked and ready. And Karen was holding the gun and not even looking in the direction she was holding the gun, with her finger on the trigger. And what was their real names? McGlockskis. McGlockskis. That's their real name. But on Taco Tuesday is Ken and Karen. And then we had to tell you guys how ghetto the United States of America is, because our sitting president has a warrant for his arrest. Even though technically he can't get arrested unless he actually goes over there, the sitting president has a warrant. How fucking crazy is that? That's the craziest shit. We want to give a shout out to Kim Kardashian for changing her status. She is officially a billionaire. So congrats to her. And then we talked about how our culture Black culture, African American culture, our culture has just, flowed into the mainstream arena of the world. And we've always been there, but this time it's being highlighted for different reasons. It's not being highlighted because of the poles and the bitches and the rap music and the weed, but we're being highlighted because they're discovering our greatness has always been hidden. And they're discovering that things that we have, went through and triumphed over was hidden and wasn't taught in history lessons, like, Black Wall Street, that wasn't taught in history lessons, like Juneteenth, that wasn't technically our, Independence Day, especially the people who, have ancestors in Galveston, Texas, so our culture is just obviously flowing right on into that mainstream. And Casey and I think it's dope and we think it's great, but we also understand sometimes people can get drained from always constantly teaching people about that because they're so interested because they don't know. So remember, it's okay to say, hey, you should probably look it up and, read up on it yourself, because sometimes it's tiring to constantly tell the same stories. Yeah, it's tiring, man. So, we had a light show for you this week, but, we had to drop some jewels on you. And then, we had to do it for the culture. What'd you say?
It was still over an hour.
Was
it? Yeah.
Oh, it didn't feel like it. I'm like, it was. It didn't feel like it. So that is our bill for the week.
Yeah.
And we have some news for you. Casey and I will be in the same space very soon. We're kind of over this.
We're working on
it'll just be us.
Situation.
Yeah, we're working on it, but we'll be together soon. His health is good, my health is good, and no one else will be in this space but us. You all right? I'm all right. So don't forget. It's 4th of July, you guys, but don't forget for all our LA people, Gavin has closed us down again.
Yes.
Gavin has closed us down again. No beach.
Beaches are closed for the weekend. Bars and all that closing again. So, hey, we got to do better.
So if you need some hookah, because you guys are going to be turning up at home.
There you go.
I'll let you girl so I can get you some hookah. And like I said, this hit Spark It Up Hookah Lounge too, because Tahaji and I were aiming to do our soft launch August 1st. And unfortunately now we can't. But as soon as we can, we will.
Hookah, like you see on the bottom of the screen there.
Yes, please follow us. And right now we have delivery hookah. So if you guys are interested in some delivery hookah, hit me up. I got you. I got the tobacco. I got the tebacco for my ladies who don't like that cough.
I mean, that don't like that either.
Okay. And the guys who don't like that neither.
First of all, boo boo. I don't be liking the tobaccos.
Yeah, so we have tobacco, which is no nicotine and no tobacco. It's tea leaves, and you can blow the smoke and get the selfies without the burning chest and without the head hop.
Yeah,
I just gotta let them know the truth.
I dig it. Well, thank you for joining us, and make sure whatever you do this somewhat Independence Day weekend,
take your paid holiday. It's your paid holiday.
Yeah, do it safely.
Yeah,
do it with the people you love.
Do it with
and if at all possible, do it by yourself because
you ain't lying.
Cases are going up, y'all, and this is not.
Yeah. And make sure you guys are wearing that mask.
Yeah,
because Gavin is pissed.
All right, so we ain't gonna ever get out of here. So, like always, I'm Casey.
I'm E.
And we are
Not Your Average Podcast. Bye, you guys. I need to have my mask.
It's hard being black cause they judge you by your color. Never get to know your story, judge a book by its cover. Trust me, I feel your struggle, brother. I'm from the gutter. We gotta learn to support instead of killing each other. Listen up, America. All we want is justice. Police steady killing us, so eager they arrest us. I'm just speaking my mind. Be violent, oppression is the